Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Sunday Funday, and I'm sorry you don't get to have Megan. The true reason why you are not going to be able to see Megan in this video is the reason why it's on something that looks a little different. The big thing is, I don't know how, but somehow I kind of messed up my back late last week, and I could barely sit for any length of time. So watching the movie was actually kind of painful. In fact, I eventually had to make it kind of a shorter movie, and I was actually able to kind of sit through that. Thankfully, I would say I'm doing better now, so I'm able to actually, sit for a bit of time and talk to you about this film. But yeah, Meg wasn't able to watch the movie that I ended up watching, which, as you can see, was Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Try anything and you're canceled, bro.
Oh, fuck.
And this one has been out for just a little bit, but it has come out this year, so I guess I can give it that much. And hey, it didn't have the 3.8 that the fucking remake of Cheaper by a Dozen's had, or Cheaper by the Dozen. But it had an even worse score. And I will say, it's like, if I'm not mistaken, this came out just like a few weeks ago. This is not an old movie. And those who are wondering what the hell this film is about, it is a pseudo remake kind of sequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, why did they decide to do that? I don't know, because that actually makes so many problems in this movie beyond its obvious issues. Because I'm gonna be dead honest with you, this movie fucking blows. This is easily the worst Texas Chainsaw Massacre thing that there's ever been. Like, it makes the return of Texas Chainsaw Massacre look like an Oscar winner. It makes the fucking two other reboots, including the not very interesting, boring, pseudo like explanation of Leatherface and all that, look like just the most it's the best movies ever. This movie wants to pretend that no other movies have happened besides the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, because it takes place again in Harlow, where a group of, I don't know how to describe them, just a bunch of, like, I guess millennials who decide to buy up Harlow and are trying to renovate it so that way they can sell it to investors for reasons. It is so on the nose with all that kind of shit. Like, I'm pretty sure y'all have seen the thing from the trailer. Oh, you think, bro, you'll get canceled? As a guy is saying that to Leatherface while he has a fucking chainsaw and he's covered in blood. There's a point to where, like, the main characters get upset about the fact this guy has a gun, and she's sitting there talking shit about the fact he has a gun strapped to his hip. Even though her friends are like, shut up. It's like, who fucking cares? There's a guy who gets upset about the fact that about this one character, Virginia, who I don't remember her being part of the original family, but whatever she, I guess, is. I will get into that here in a second. But yeah, she had a Confederate flag waving, and it's a black guy. He gets super mad about it, and it's like, the fuck? And there is so much stupid that happens throughout this movie. First off, the fact that the characters all talk the way they do. Like, they talk like they are so superior than everybody else, with the exception of, like, one girl who, I'm just going to let you know, dies in the first 10 minutes. And if I can give this movie one thing, it is abruptly short. Like, it is aggressively short movie. Like, it finishes in fuck, less than an hour and a half. Like, it's rolling the credits by 75 minutes or so. I'm like, thank God this movie sucks. Fuck this movie. But these characters are just, you don't care for any of them. Like, the most sympathetic character is a youngish girl who I think she's supposed to be from another movie. People are kind of talking about her in other reviews. And I'm like, I've never recognized her. In fact, all these characters, I don't know any of them except for they do pretty much like from New Halloween. They're like, ooh, that was really popular. People like that Laurie Strode came back, so let's bring back the only survivor from the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre and have her fight Leatherface. Because she has a thing for fighting Leatherface because he supposedly got away. And that brings me to one of the biggest fucking issues here. It does say it's like 1973. That's when this happened. And let's assume this got filmed in 2021. Let's say 2020. Let's give them a little space. That means that it has been 47 years since that happened. And this guy is supposed to be, the Leatherface you've seen, this is supposed to be the same Leatherface. 47 years. Let's be nice and assume that that Leatherface somehow was in his mid-20s. He'd be over 70 at this point, and he's just running around, able to outpace everybody. I get he's a bigger guy, but he's not having any problems sort of whipping around this chainsaw, doing all this other shit, easily outfighting a guy who looks like he's maybe in his early 30s or something like that. It's mind-numbing. Like, what the fuck, movie? You couldn't just say this is his kid or anything? Or just like, this isn't the same Leatherface? No, it's like straight up, it's like, oh, this is the same Leatherface from way back when. Somehow he lived for over 50 years just in the middle of Harlow. They never caught him, but they knew exactly where he was. It's like, the fuck, movie? And not only that, but it's like he's not like violent until like this one lady dies, and then he just randomly decides to kill these two deputies. There's like one of them in like these over the top gruesome and gory ways, which I'm all for gore and everything. But one, this movie decides that it wants to do a lot of CGI gore. Like one of the main kind of characters who dies off early on there is this one blonde chick who legitimately, I think she had like 3 lines, maybe 4 before this. And like when Leatherface goes to kill her, he doesn't just like, kill her. He like goes to stab her in the stomach, and it shows, but it's all CGI. Right? The thing, it's like, y'all couldn't have cut to them cutting into like a mannequin or anything, or something fake to kind of get away with this look. Instead you went with CGI, and I can tell you why, and it's because of the same issue that plagues this movie. They're being lazy. Because everything in this film is fucking lazy. The script is lazy. None of these characters have any dimension beyond the pseudo main character. I think her name was Lily, Melody, I can't remember. I don't fucking remember, because all these characters was like, that was the one brown-haired chick. Oh, here's the fluffier brown-haired chick. Oh, I remember the black guy's name. His name is Dante, because they say it 5 billion fucking times. And it's like there was literally, like they had a script and they had like 2 lines for each character, and then had a description of, oh, Leatherface kills them. Move next part. It's like it's a 5-page script, and it's like, we gotta fucking spread this shit out. But yeah, like everything just feels lazy. Like the main character is the only one who sort of has any kind of anything to her, and her big thing is that she was maybe involved in the school shooting and she survived. So she sort of has this hang up with guns, even though she doesn't. And unfortunately, it's like so much of this is just unintentionally very funny. like talking about the fact that Leatherface eventually kills the black guy in an homage to the original scene that's very famous where Leatherface hits the dude and then drags him behind the thing and shuts it. Mind you, that was like a very terrifying scene because it was that long. Here, Leatherface kills a guy, but then he has to fall over and then die. But it looked like he chopped his neck in the first shot. And then all of a sudden, oh no, it's his face. So they gotta show this terrible CGI work they have done to try and make it look like he's chopped into his face. And he just, what happened to you, bro? And then you get the fucking cowboy guy who knows Leatherface is near here, and Leatherface can just like, and just able to run around without anybody noticing that he's like fucking 720 pounds and 70 years old. He's thinking, or something, because he's fucking old. And he just gets his fucking ass beat, and he gets like his leg broken, and it looks so comically stupid. And it's like, okay, what the fuck, why? And again, Leatherface is easily able to outpower this guy. Like, the guy is barely holding his own against Leatherface without his leg being broken. And in fact, with his leg broken, is able to kind of power him against this thing, and then Leatherface says, stab you in this thing. And then when Leatherface goes to overkill him, starts beating his head in with a hammer, and it's a stupid CGI cut. Everything is fucking CGI in this. Like, that's just the long and short of it. It's like they decide, we don't have the budget to be able to afford prosthetics or anything like that. Fuck it, we'll do it with shitty CGI. And that's exactly what they do. Everything looks like garbage because of that. It just all looks like mush. But I'd be remiss if I don't at least talk about the famous bus scene where all these people are just getting massacred by him because just the whole time while he's chopping through him with a chainsaw. One, this is a chainsaw. It's been behind a fucking thing that he kind of works on, I guess, a little bit and is able to get it all working. And he's also able to chop through a damn house like it's nothing, and is just like, fuck you, I kill you all, because I'm Leatherface, I'm the evil bad guy. And this is also the same fucker who has been stabbed repeatedly, shot, he gets shot a number of times later, and is still just walking around. It's like, okay, movie makers, I'm gonna let y'all know something. Leatherface was not meant to be a supernatural serial killer or anything like that. Like, it's kind of the problems that they have with Michael Myers is like, they tried to in the later ones make him kind of like, he's invincible. It's like, no, that's not the unique thing about Michael Myers. The unique thing is that he's just a guy. In this, it's same thing. He's just a guy, a crazy guy, but he's just a guy. He's not, fucking Jason Voorhees, which I guess is the only way you can explain the fact that he's still alive after or damn near 60 years. This movie sucks. And that's the worst thing. Is like, beyond all the fallacies on the fact of how strong Leatherface is, how he's able to stay this youngish, I guess, and all this other bullshit is like, he's not interesting, and at least he just goes around and kills everybody. And the big draw for this movie is there's a lot of gore. Like, it's strange because the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre was actually known for not being a very gory movie. There's a lot of just psychological shit in there. There was a lot that wasn't shown. This movie, on the other hand, is just gore to the extreme, to the point to where it just becomes absurd. And because of that, you really get desensitized from it, and you quite quickly begin to turn your brain off, and you're like, I don't fucking care about any of this shit that's happening. This is all stupid. And that's the long and short of it. A lot of this, you're like, this is all actually pretty damn stupid. And by the end of it, they try to homage to the original where Leatherface is running around with a chainsaw after he's been shot a number of times and stabbed a few times. But they have to have only one survivor, so the other sisters, they grab the curly-haired one, and he like chops her head off in this unintentionally really funny scene. It's like, oh, haha, I have head and nitro chainsaw, ah. And her sister, yeah! While hanging out of a Tesla that's barely fucking going. Because they can't be bothered to just like, fucking gun this shit, let's get out of this hellhole. No, they're just like, just gonna sit back and just sit here, worry about nothing. We took care of it. We win, oh no. And again, he just punches through a fucking car window and just grabs her ass. It's like, what the fuck did y'all think Leatherface was? It's like they watched a whole bunch of, Friday the 13th movies and were like, that's what we're doing for Leatherface, man. Because that's Leatherface there. That's my favorite horror character. Wow. This is one of the most absurdly bad horror films. Wow. Like, somehow, this makes the reboot piece of shit they did a few years ago seem like just a masterpiece. This makes the true reboot that they actually did back in the early 2000s by Platinum Dunes seem like just some of the best stuff ever. Whoever created this had no idea what they were doing. They were just sitting there like, oh yeah, I love Leatherface. He's my favorite horror character. And he had no idea what Leatherface actually did. He had no inkling into the family of Leatherface. Had no understanding about anything that makes Leatherface Leatherface. And because of that, you quickly tune the fuck out of this movie. And that's the other thing. Like, if Leatherface is not killing anybody, this movie's dull. Nothing's fucking happening in it. It's not even, like, good on an accidental level. Or actually, or just, like, it's funny completely throughout. Like, it's bad throughout it because shit doesn't happen. And when shit does happen, it's bad. That is a piss poor film there. Hell, at one point, they have this one character, she tries to go out this bus window, and she's like, ah! And she gets chopped in half. Again, it's she CGI. She's, and it falls off her. It's like, what the fuck? You couldn't have had her, like, actually, like, kind of screaming during it? Because it's not just going to chop through her like a fucking hot knife through butter. And that's how they believe, I guess, a chainsaw works. Like, guys, like, there was at least, like, a modicum of, believability with some of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. In fact, the first one really built itself around that. Being silly and over the top is not getting it. It's totally missing the fucking point. That's really just it. It's just a bad horror movie. It's one of the worst slasher movies you can be bothered to sit there and watch. You will not enjoy this. You'll laugh at the parts that are unintentionally really fucking funny. But other than that, you're going to be like this. I found myself just, like, checking my phone constantly. I'm like, God, this is an hour and, like, technically it's like an hour and 21 minutes or something like that. And I was just utterly bored throughout any chunks where I wasn't watching gore happening. And when I was watching gore, I'm like, oh, cool, it's really shitty CGI gore. Thanks, movie. Thanks for trying zero. Perfect. Fucking perfect, you jackasses. Now, fuck this film. If you want a grade of this, of course, it's a fucking 1. It's not a particularly, compelling film in the slightest in terms of a slasher movie. It's easily one of the biggest disrespects I've ever seen to the actual Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise per se. And not only that, but it doesn't really understand what it wants do throughout a chunk of it. There's way too much just nothing happening. And when there is shit happening, it flies in the face of everything that happened in the other Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies in terms of how they decided to create things. Sure, you don't have to treat like the original is, the only prototype on how you should do things. But, whenever you can't create, something that, people can give a flying fuck about, maybe you're failing at something. And that's the thing. It's like everybody was just like, "Oh, this movie exists," is the biggest thing that everybody was saying. It's like it's not a good movie. It exists. Congratulations. Just skip this piece of shit. If you are a fan of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you're gonna be bored. You're not gonna like it. It's actually gonna piss you off. If you're a fan of slasher movies, you're really gonna be just tuned out throughout most of this. It's not a compelling slasher film. It doesn't even have unique and interesting kills. You've seen these before in other movies. And worse yet, like I said, it's like it is egregious with the amount of CGI it decides to utilize. It's to the point that it actually becomes a detriment to the film. And that is the things like many people don't realize, like how much it uses that just hurts everything that happens throughout it. Blah. But hey, that's Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yay. Next week, it might be a little bit different because I think we were supposed to be getting together with some of our friends on stuff. I will see. But if we don't, we'll get into the new Sandra Bullock and Channing Tatum movie that's probably gonna suck ass. Yay. But hey, until then, hopefully I'll have the Megan with me, and I'll see y'all later. So, bye-bye, everybody.